Hey, Elizabeth, please tell me about yourself. What are your interests and hobbies? Hey, Elizabeth, please tell me about yourself. What are your interests and hobbies?
I am Miss Elizabeth Larita Barres from Parañaque City, Manila, Philippines. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Secondary Education, Mathematics major at the Laguna State Polytechnic University, and a master's degree. Took up Master of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management at Olivares College. Presently, I am connected with International Christian Academy, the first Philippine Christian school accredited by Association of Christian School International, Colorado, USA, as a grade 9 advanced algebra teacher and grade 10 pre-calculus teacher. And at the same time, I am um, the department head or the coordinator of mathematics and science department and a grade 10 endurance homeroom advisor. And at the same time, I am a part-time professor at Olivares College, teaching college algebra, advanced educational statistics, and business mathematics as well. And at this point in time, we're practicing for the Repertory League of International Christian Academy. I am one of the singers and part of the band, and I sing music and different songs as background for the play. And also, I'm a worship leader of the church, and also I am a treasurer of our cooperative.
Elizabeth, you are doing quite a bit. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My next question is, are you involved in any extracurricular activities that you could coach or supervise? And I think you just answered that. Okay. Why did you decide to become a math teacher?
Actually, when I was in elementary, my mother taught me how to multiply. In grade 1, she told me to recite multiplication table 1 and 2, and then Tuesday 2 and 3, Wednesday 4 and 5 until I master multiplication table up to 10 when I was in grade 1. And that motivates me. And at the same time, when I was in high school, the greatest motivator among all was my grade 8 mathematics teacher. I can still remember her name, Miss Alvarado, because she taught very well, and she taught us not only mathematics but most importantly how and where could I apply mathematics. And then right there and then I decided to take education mathematics major because I would like to be the same as my math teacher, who will encourage and at the same time who will motivate students as well.
Describe your teaching experience. What subjects have you taught and at what grade levels?
During my first year in ICA, actually International Christian Academy is my first school until now since 2004. At first, they gave me grade 8 and I taught intermediate algebra and elementary statistics. And then I also handled grade 8 geometry, intermediate algebra, and as time passes by, they saw that I taught well. They promoted me to grade 9 and grade 10 until now. And currently, I am handling advanced algebra and pre-calculus subject and elementary statistics as well. And how do I teach mathematics? Usually, I should plan ahead because if you're planning ahead and if you plan what you want to achieve for the day, for the week, and for the whole quarter, um, you could see the improvement of students, especially those students who are struggling in mathematics. If you really plan effectively and efficiently, you will see how your students learned a lot because you could see that they are happy and they're smiling at you even though the subject is very hard. I'm very happy because it's true, and the fact that math is a difficult subject, the reason why they love calculus and advanced algebra is because how the teacher taught and how the teacher approached and how the teacher motivates them. That's how I teach mathematics.
Describe other work experiences you have had other than teaching.
When I was in college, I actually I worked in Greenwich Pizzerazzi Corporation and Jollibee as a part-time student so that I could help my parent because I only have a mother. Um, my dad passed away when I was in high school, so to help my mother because we were three, I have two siblings and my mother, and because to tell you honestly, I grew up in a very poor family. That's why I need to work. Then right after I finished Bachelor of Secondary Education, my undergrad, while waiting for the schedule for the licensure of examination for teachers, I worked as a cashier at Enchanted Kingdom. Actually, that is entertainment store. So aside from teaching, I worked as a cashier in different fast food chains.
What do you hope to be doing professionally 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I will still teach because this is my passion, but I need to upgrade myself. So I'm done with my MA for me to practice more and for me to learn new things, new trends as well. I need to upgrade myself. You know that technology is coming in over to educational institutions. So most of the time, we know, I admit that most of my students are better when it comes to technology. And I believe that we don't own learning at this time because before, teachers are the one who will teach and they are the only source of information. But this time, because we have this technology years, technology or modern technology, I really need to upgrade. But I will still teach because this is my passion.
If I were to talk to several of your colleagues, how would they describe your personality?
I am very happy to say, and I'm very proud because as I remember when we had this training and workshop, what we did was they will write something on the paper at your back, the weaknesses and the strength. And I thank God because I receive a lot of positive comments like energetic, favorite teacher of students, who teaches well, and very spiritual, and most of all, humble. And the weaknesses is that I laugh too much. So I thank God because my colleagues told me those positive things aside from the fact that I also have weakness to improve on. That helped me when I learned that sometimes I am noisy, sometimes I laugh too much because they said that when I laugh too much, they are annoyed. So because of that comment, of course, while in the faculty, while in the school, I need to laugh, uh, not too much because some people are annoyed with that. So and also I remember one of my co-teachers, just like the recommendation I gave you. She is Miss Luz Mejia, the English department head. She told me that I am the X plus Y teacher who loved by my students and my colleagues, and I'm very proud and happy to hear that.
What would your students say about you?
Miss Boris taught them a lot, humble, and very, very approachable. And most of the things that I received during the evaluation of my students was she's a very good teacher, very approachable, and who always reaches us whenever we need a shoulder to cry on, and a friend, not only a teacher.
Briefly, tell me, how do you prepare to teach your lessons? What would your lesson plans include?
My lesson plan, actually, before I go to my class, um, um, we have this lesson plan to be submitted to the academics office. But one thing that makes me different from other teachers is that I have daily plan on my own. I have this notebook, and also I started, of course, what are my goals and what do I need to achieve for that day. So of course, if you are ready and if you planned your lesson ahead, you will see and you will achieve those goals because you planned it ahead of time. And I believe that if you plan, you will be an effective teacher. So aside from the objectives, of course, I also have this motivation part. So of course, I need to um, engage my students and also get their attention in preparation for the lesson. Of course, the motivation that I'm doing is related to the topic, especially in calculus. I know that this is very difficult, especially in mathematics, to look for motivations that will engage them. But what I did was in my class during my calculus time, so that I could motivate them and encourage them to listen, because yeah, when they ask me what's the use of calculus, why do we study calculus, so my lesson was parabola. So I brought string art, which I've done long time ago when I was in college, and I told them that this is one of the applications, and then also I have PowerPoint presentations and videos related to the subject. And at first, because of those presentations, really, that's the application of calculus. Now I know. So aside from motivation, in my lesson plan, I also have lesson proper, wherein I will discuss after I motivate them the topics and the lessons. Then after the lessons, what is included in my lesson plan is the assessments. But of course, before I do the formal, I'm doing informal assessment like drills for the mastery. Usually, and this is most of the time, which my student appreciate, was I do give them drills, seat work, and then after checking and giving them the feedback that yeah, you're ready to take this formal assessment, then right after that I do give homework as part of my lesson plan, so at least they could practice at home, especially before the scheduled quiz, because in my class I don't give surprise quiz. We have this agreement during the week, what day would you like to take your quiz. So at this time, my grade 9 students said that we will have quiz every Wednesday, and my grade 10 in pre-calculus every Thursday. So I do give homework every Tuesday in preparation for their quiz on the next day. So that I know that they will review in preparation for the quiz. So right after that, I have life application, and since I'm teaching at Christian school, we do have Bible verses. If it's hard to relate mathematics to Bible verses, but life application or real application of the topic, so at least they could appreciate that, yeah, calculus or advanced algebra or mathematics is difficult in general, but they could see the application of mathematics, and mathematics is really important as they realize. And right after that, in my lesson plan, I have remarks also, based on the assessment that I give. I am computing it. Then under the remarks, I have, yeah, 98% of the class passed and 2% failed. But there are times that 75% failed and only 25% passed. So through that, I could get the feedback that I need to review, if not review, reteach, or give them some exercises for them to master the subject. So that's how I plan, and those are the parts of lesson plan that I am doing and submitting to the academics department, and at the same time with my notebook for everyday plan.
Think about a class that you have taught recently and tell me about some of the teaching strategies and methods that you used.
What I'm doing in my class is that, your students, aside from lecture, aside from discussion, I do group work, because I know that they could speak on their own language, and sometimes they understand their classmates very well, if not the teacher. But of course, the teacher should be the first and should be the one to teach them, and of course the source of learning. And aside from grouping, so as to make difference, sometimes I do peer tutoring, or by in a partner. And I know my students who are struggling in math, so what I'm doing is I am partnering those students that I love to students who are doing good as well. And at the same time, you know that math is difficult. So of course, you know how to measure their knowledge, their understanding, and I know that students are really different and they are unique. So aside from discussion, aside from group work, aside from by partner or by peer tutoring, just like what I did last time in pre-calculus, because I've noticed that their grade during the formal assessment in my mid-quarter exam, it's a little bit low. So as a teacher, what will I do to at least help them make their grades higher? So what I did was, since my lesson last time was parabola, and it's really hard to give like alternative exam in mathematics because they need practice. So what I did was, I asked them to research, this is by group, to research other applications of parabola, hyperbola, and calculus in real life application. And of course, upon asking that, I prepared rubrics for what are the things that I want them to prepare. So of course, what I did last time was, let's say on Monday, you bring the following materials. What I ask them to do is submit a plan or submit applications related to the topic. So I was surprised because one group submitted that calculus, particularly in hyperbola and parabola, they can make bridges out of it, and they could measure the focus, where they will put the weight, So I'm very happy when I received that. And the other group was um, they made metallic parabolic satellite. So yeah, when they submit that plan, yeah, check during Monday and then Tuesday, you have to start. So aside from lecture, which is most of the time boring on their part, so I need to think of other strategies. And aside from that, actually this morning, since this is math month in the school, aside from those strategies, what I did was I announced 2 weeks ago that I will have a quiz bee. They need to bring of course their own pencil pen and whiteboard. So yeah, with the PowerPoint presentation. And then also, of course, I explained the content of the quiz B. So, of course, from their lesson during the first quarter up to the last lesson that I discussed. And I even explained that for the easy round, there are 5 questions, but with choices. For the average round, it's more on computation, but there's also choices. But in the difficult round, they should really compute. And the thing there is, what would be reward? I told them that whoever wins would be exempted to the upcoming mid-quarter examination 2 weeks from now, and the second would be receiving plus 15 points, and the third placer would receive plus 10 points, and all the participants would receive additional 5 points. So at least they will do their best. And there are many more, but to state few, that's what I'm doing, and the real strategies that I'm doing. And at the same time, of course, there are students who are struggling in math. So what I'm doing was, of course, aside from individual teaching, actually I'm always available during or after dismissal because our time is until 3:30. So I allotted 30 minutes of my time every day. If they don't understand any, or if there are some numbers that they don't understand, they can approach me. They can go to my room at that time. So that makes my student better, because I believe that if the teachers have different strategies, you could see the improvement and the betterment of students, especially in mathematics.
What methods do you use to grade or evaluate your students' progress?
I'm giving quizzes, seat works, and we have mid-quarter and quarterly exam and sometimes projects.
If you use technology in your teaching, describe ways that you incorporate it.
I am blessed because we have smart TV in my classroom, or in each room in ICA. And what I'm doing is, whenever I presented lesson, I prepared a lot of PowerPoints, and also of course those applications, because in mathematics it's important to know what or where do they apply the topic, especially mathematics.
If you have students who are noisy or non-attentive, how do you get them to be quiet and concentrate?
What I usually do, that's why my students love me, is that I stop teaching, because they know that when you stop, it means that you're respecting the one who's talking. So they understood, and they understand that when I stop, they need to stop talking, and then also running as well.
Describe the most difficult problem you have had to deal with as a teacher, and how did you solve this problem?
The difficult part was we only have 1 hour a day. So sometimes I can finish my lesson, but of course, I really need to plan ahead for the next day. What will I do to finish my topic? And then also, another part is communicating with parents, because most of my parents are busy. So what I'm doing is that I write in their diary, but writing something in their diary or your concerns through their diary is not enough. So I need to call and I need to text. And at the same time, since some of my parents are friends in Facebook, so I do communicate.
Give me one example to show that you are a flexible person, that you can make changes in your teaching and methods if it's necessary.
Surely I am a very flexible teacher. Why? Because I can mingle with different races since I'm teaching at International Christian Academy.
Mhm.
There are different races studying in the school. So there are Chinese, there are Koreans, there are British, and so many more. So it's really hard because we belong to different cultures. So what I'm doing is that, especially if my students are having a hard time to understand, especially Korean, is that um, if of course you have 35 students, so of course you can slow your teaching strategy. So what I'm doing is that if they really don't understand, I go to their place and ask them which part. And the most difficult part is they don't understand English. So what I'm trying to do is I'm looking for classmates who could explain in English or in Korean or in British. Yeah, as a teacher, yeah, I can mingle with other people with different attitudes and character.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add about your qualifications that we may not be aware of?
I believe as a teacher, I should train up a child in the way they should go, because when they are old, they will never depart from it. And that's Miss Boris.
Have you spoken with your family about going to the United States to teach? And is there any family member that might object to your leaving home?
Yeah, and they are very supportive, and at this time, they are praying for me.
Okay. Are you aware that your immediate family members may not join you here until approximately 4 to 6 weeks after your arrival?
Yes, and they are ready.
Okay. Do you understand and accept that it's a 3-year program, and at the end of 3 years you must return to the Philippines?
Yes, I understand. I know that I need to stay for 3 years and need to go back to the Philippines to share my learnings with them.
Okay. All right, Elizabeth. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you very much.